Deep within Greenleaf Forest, the air always smelled of pine needles and honeydew. The river sang as it wound its way through the mossy roots, and sunlight danced in golden patches through the tall canopy above. Life was peaceful there, for the animals lived together in harmony. Talkative parrots, graceful deer, hard-working beavers, cheerful rabbits, and wise old owls. Among them was Rollo the rabbit, a bright, bouncy little fellow with soft gray fur and eyes that sparkled with curiosity. Everyone loved Rollo. He had a joke for every gathering and a cheerful greeting for every passerby. Yet hidden behind his charm was a terrible flaw. He was too quick to judge. Rollo's tongue was faster than his heart. If he saw a fox walk quietly, he'd whisper, "He's sneaking up to no good." If he saw a bird with a broken wing, he'd sigh, "She must have been careless." He didn't mean to hurt anyone, but his words often carried farther than he thought, and once released, they were like seeds blown by the wind, impossible to take back. One bright morning, when the dew still clung to the grass like diamonds, a new animal entered the forest, a badger named Bruno. His fur was rough and striped black and white, and he dragged behind him a small, heavy bundle wrapped in old leaves. He looked tired, his steps slow, his face unreadable. From a distance, Rollo's nose twitched. "What's that fellow doing here? Dragging a bundle like that? He looks like a thief or maybe a hunter. He looks dangerous." He didn't ask anyone. He didn't approach to say hello. Instead, he hopped from burrow to burrow, whispering warnings. "Be careful of that badger. He's carrying something suspicious. Don't trust him. I saw it myself." The parrots squawked the rumor from tree to tree. The deer whispered it as they drank from the stream. Even the wise old owl said, "We must be cautious." By midday, the whole forest buzzed with suspicion. When Bruno waved, no one waved back. When he smiled, they turned away. Even the squirrels hid their acorns whenever he passed. Bruno felt the chill of the forest's silence more than the cold of the wind. So, quietly, he built himself a small hut beside the stream and kept to himself. Days passed, and autumn began to paint the forest in shades of gold and crimson. One cold evening, as twilight fell, a cry echoed through the woods. "Fire! Fire! The food hollow is burning!" The storage hollow, where all the animals kept their winter supplies, was ablaze. Flames licked the tree trunks, smoke filled the air, and the animals panicked, trying to save what they could. And who do you think shouted first? Rollo. "It's the badger! I knew it! He must have done this! He's been sneaking around with that bundle of his!" The frightened animals, desperate and angry, followed Rollo's lead. Together they raced toward Bruno's hut. There he was, kneeling by the stream, his paws black with soot, filling a pot with water. "Caught him red-handed!" shouted Rollo. "He's washing away the evidence!" Bruno turned, startled. "No, please! I was trying to carry water to—" But before he could finish, the crowd shouted him down. "Liar! Thief! Get out of our forest!" The badger stood silently for a moment, his eyes full of sorrow. Then he nodded once, picked up his bundle, and walked away without a word. That night, the fire finally died down. The next morning, the animals crept back to the charred hollow to inspect the damage. Inside, under the ashes, they found something small and twisted, a broken lantern, scorched black. The wise old owl recognized it instantly. This is my reading lantern," he said softly. "I must have dropped it when I flew out last night. Oh dear me, the fire was my fault." Gasps filled the air. All eyes turned to Rollo. The little rabbit's ears drooped. His heart felt heavy as stone. He didn't speak. He couldn't. He had judged Bruno and led everyone else to do the same. He had accused an innocent animal who only tried to help. That evening, he sat alone under the willow tree, tears dampening his fur. "What have I done?" he whispered to the stars. "How many hearts have I hurt with my careless words?" At dawn, Rollo packed a small satchel and followed Bruno's trail beyond the forest. The journey was long, through rocky hills and misty mallees. On the third day, he found Bruno sitting beneath an old oak, his bundle open beside him. Inside were tools, seeds, and small wooden carvings. Bruno looked up, surprised but calm. "Rollo," he said quietly, "what brings you here?" Rollo bowed his head. "Bruno, I came to apologize. I wronged you. I spoke without knowing, judged without understanding. The fire, it was an accident, not your doing. You were trying to help." Bruno sighed and smiled faintly. "I know, little rabbit. I never blamed you." Rollo's eyes widened. "You didn't?" Bruno shook his head. "When you've lived long enough, you learn that fear makes people say hurtful things. I've seen it before. The only cure is kindness." He picked up one of the wooden carvings, a small rabbit, and placed it in Rollo's paw. "I carved this while I was alone. It reminded me of the forest I wanted to belong to." Tears filled Rollo's eyes. "Please come back. Let us make things right." Bruno looked toward the horizon. "If we return not for blame or apology, but for rebuilding." Together they returned. The animals, upon seeing Bruno again, hung their heads in shame. Rollo stepped forward and spoke, his voice trembling but steady. "My friends, I was wrong. I judged a good creature and turned you all against him. Bruno came to help us, not harm us. He carries not weapons, but seeds, seeds that can grow new trees and fruits for our future." The animals murmured, astonished. Bruno knelt and opened his bundle, revealing tiny saplings, each labeled carefully: apple, oak, willow, chestnut. "I brought these because my old forest burned down. I wanted to share what I learned about rebuilding. Fire can destroy trees, but it can also prepare the ground for stronger roots." From that day, Bruno and the others worked side by side. They rebuilt the food hollow, planted new trees, and restored the forest even more beautiful than before. Birds carried seeds farther, deer watered the saplings, and even the wind seemed kinder. As for Rollo, he changed. He thought before he spoke, listened before he leapt to conclusions, and became known not for gossip, but for wisdom. Whenever young rabbits came to him asking for stories, he would smile and say, "Never judge too quickly, little one. The truth is like a seed. It takes time to grow, but once it blooms, it makes the whole forest beautiful." Moral of the story: words can wound deeper than claws, but they can also heal when spoken with truth and kindness. Judge not by what you see, but by what you seek to understand. Every story hides a mirror. one that reflects a truth we often forget. If you love stories that whisper wisdom and warm the soul, subscribe to Tales by Cathie for more timeless parables and heartfelt journeys that remind us how beautiful growth, forgiveness, and understanding can be.